Title: He knocked on my door every night at 3:13 a.m. Then I found out why. There's something your brain does at 3 in the morning that it just doesn't do at any other hour. It listens differently. I don't know if it's the silence, or some old animal wiring we haven't fully shaken, but when something jolts you awake in the dead of night, your body doesn't ease into it. You're just there. Heart already going. Eyes already open. Every nerve in your body holding its breath. That's exactly what happened to a guy named Daniel. And I want to be clear, this isn't a ghost story. What was actually going on was way worse than that. Act 1. Daniel was 34. Fresh out of a divorce, just trying to get his feet back under him. He'd rented a house on the quiet side of Clarksville, Tennessee, one of those streets where the neighbors keep their yards clean, go to bed at 10, and basically leave each other alone. That's all he wanted. Just some peace. Some breathing room. A place where he could figure out what came next. For the first 2 weeks, it was exactly that. Then the third week hit. He told me he doesn't even fully remember what woke him up. He just opened his eyes. The room was dark. His phone screen read 3:13 a.m. He lay there for a second, kind of half confused, half asleep. Then he heard it. Knock. 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 3 knocks. Slow. Spaced out. Not urgent. Not like someone in trouble. Just deliberate. He got up, walked to the front door, looked through the peephole. Nobody there. He opened it anyway. Looked both ways down the street. Porch light was on, so he could see clearly. Not a single person in sight. No car pulling away. No footsteps. Nothing. He told himself it was kids. Or someone with the wrong house. Went back to bed. But he couldn't sleep. Because those knocks had bothered him in a way he couldn't quite explain. They weren't rushed. They weren't nervous. They were patient. The kind of knock that says, I know you're in there, and I'm not going anywhere. He couldn't shake that. Act 2. The next night he locked up early. Made sure every window was latched. Left the porch light on, thinking maybe the light alone would be enough to keep whoever it was from coming back. He was asleep by midnight. 3:13 a.m. Knock. 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 He was out of bed before he was even fully awake. Grabbed his phone, ran to the door, looked through the peephole before he even touched the handle. Nothing. But this time, he moved fast. He threw the door open almost immediately and he caught something. At the very edge of the porch light, right where the driveway bleeds into dark, there was a shape. A figure. Standing completely still. Just standing there, facing the house. Daniel called out. Nothing. He grabbed a flashlight, came back, shone it in that direction. Gone. He stood in that doorway for probably 5 minutes. Just staring out at an empty driveway. No sound. No movement. No sign anyone had been there at all. He called the non-emergency police line. They sent someone out to drive by, check the area. Officer found nothing. Said it was probably someone cutting through the neighborhood, maybe a drunk stumbling home. Told Daniel to keep his doors locked and call back if it happened again. It happened again. Every single night. Same time, 3:13. Same 3 knocks. And every time Daniel got to the door, nobody there. But twice more he saw that shape at the end of the driveway. Never close enough to make out a face. Never moving. Just watching. He stopped being able to sleep. Started leaving every light in the house on. Bought a cheap security camera, mounted it above the front door, started sleeping with his phone in his hand. 8 nights in a row. And then he finally got something on camera. Act 3. He pulled up the footage the next morning. Skipped ahead to 3:13. And there it was. A person walking up the front path. Head down, dark hoodie, hands in their pockets. Calm. Unhurried. Like they'd done it 100 times. They stopped at the door, raised one hand, knocked 3 times. Then just stood there. 47 seconds. Daniel counted. 47 seconds, this person stood at his front door without moving. Not trying the handle. Not looking around. Just standing. Then they turned around and walked back down the path. But what happened next made Daniel's stomach turned. They didn't go back toward the street. They turned and walked around the side of the house. Toward the back. Daniel's bedroom was at the back of the house. He'd been asleep back there while this was happening. He hadn't heard anyone come around. No knocking on the back door. No rattling windows. Nothing. But someone had been back there. Walking around behind his house. In the dark. While he slept. He checked into a hotel that night. Sent the footage to the police. This time they took it more seriously, tried to identify the person from the video. The hoodie was pulled down too far. Face never visible. They told him to keep them posted if anything else happened. He moved back home because he couldn't keep paying for hotels. Started sleeping on the couch in the living room instead of the bedroom, better sightline to the front door. Kept the camera running every night. For days of nothing. He started to breathe again. Started thinking maybe whoever it was had seen the camera and backed off. Maybe it was over. Then on the 5th night he woke up at 3:13 a.m. No knock. He looked at the front door. Looked at his phone. Sat there in the quiet dark of his living room, trying to figure out what had woken him up. And then he realized. The back door was standing wide open. Not kicked in. Not broken. The lock was fine. The frame was fine. The door had just been opened. Act 4. Daniel didn't move. He sat on that couch and called 911. Whispered his address. Said he thought someone had been in the house. Police were there in under 4 minutes. They cleared every room. Nobody inside. But in the backyard, sitting right in the middle of the patio, they found a set of keys. And attached to the keyring was a small tag with Daniel's address on it. Written by hand. Someone had copied his house key. And they'd been using it, or at minimum, had been coming around the back, checking windows, learning the layout of the property this whole time. The knocking at the front? That was intentional. A distraction. Something to keep Daniel's attention focused on one side of the house while they were doing whatever they were doing at the back. Police traced the keys back to a man named Marcus. He was the new boyfriend of Daniel's ex-wife. And somewhere in the wreckage of the divorce, Marcus had developed a fixation on Daniel that nobody had seen coming. He'd tracked down Daniel's new address. Had been coming out there every single night. The knocking was deliberate, psychological, almost surgical. Let him know I was here. Let him know I can find him. Let him know he isn't safe. And on the nights Daniel didn't get to the door fast enough, Marcus had been slipping around back. Checking the windows. Standing outside the bedroom wall while Daniel tried to sleep. The open back door wasn't a mistake. It was a message. I can get in whenever I want. Marcus was arrested. Charged with stalking and criminal trespass. No prior record. Held down a normal job. To anyone who knew him, a completely ordinary person. He had been standing outside Daniel's house in the dark, night after night, for almost a month. OUTRO. Daniel moved out eventually. Even after Marcus was locked up, he said he just couldn't do it anymore, couldn't sleep in that house. And I think that's something people underestimate about this kind of thing. The danger being gone doesn't mean you feel safe. Your body keeps the memory. Your nervous system doesn't just reset because the threat is removed. What really stays with me about this story isn't the break-in or even the footage. It's how thought out the whole thing was. Someone sat down and planned this. Picked a time. Picked a pattern. Understood that showing up at the same moment every single night, making someone know it's coming without being able to stop it, would be more terrifying than anything sudden or violent could ever be. And they weren't wrong. If something starts happening at the same time every night, a knock, a sound, a feeling that something's off, don't explain it away. Patterns aren't random. Patterns mean there's a person on the other side of them, making choices. Stay safe. Lock your doors. Mount a camera if you can. And if something wakes you up at 3 a.m., don't go straight to the front door.